Hello there. Eddie Mercado here with BloodyElbow.com, and today I will be speaking with John Castaneda, who is competing in Copa Combate on November 11th, which is a one-night, eight-man tournament in Cancun, Mexico. So let's give John a call and find out how he got involved with this one-night tournament, find out his thoughts on his fellow competitors, and maybe what the future has in store for him. Mr. John Castaneda, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for taking out the time. You are 14-2 right now in your mixed martial arts journey. 6-0 in combates. You've won 9 straight, and you are headed to Cancun, Mexico for a one-night, 8-man tournament. Winner gets $100,000. How are things?
Things are great, man. I mean, I've never had a better camp, to be honest. I'm peaking right at the perfect time. My weight's good. Everything's great. I'm finally figuring out that this tournament really isn't going to be that too much different from a fight. It is 3 different fighters, 3 different styles, but the length of all of the fight at maximum is going to be no more than 23 minutes, which, I fought before. I fought a championship level fight at the pro levels, which is 5 5-minute rounds. You just gotta. I'm trying to implement what the style of the tournament is going to be in my camp. Otherwise, though, it's just going to be like any other day. Like you said, I'm on a 9-fight win streak. I think I've proven myself to be an elite bantamweight, and I'm going to continue to do so on November 11th.
Okay, so like we said, you're 6-0 in combates. You got to the vacant title fight. You were unable to make the weight, but you still fought. You ended up winning, and then I think you had like some sort of falling out kind of sort of with Combate. What was going on with that?
Yeah, so essentially that was last September, October. That was last October, I believe, October of 2016. Like you said, I was a championship fight with Gustavo Lopez in New York, and I was unable to make the weight. I've had 32 professional fights. I'm sorry, I've had 32 overall fights, 16 amateur. This will be my 17th professional fight. Never have I ever missed weight. It just so happened to be that I planned it out. My body was just like dehydrated at that point. Couldn't make the weight. Still stuck through it though. Fought through the adversity and got the win, which is obviously the important part. But then that kind of put me in a tricky spot with my contract situation. So I won the fight, but I wasn't crowned a champion because I didn't make the weight. So therefore, that was the last fight of my contract. If I would have been crowned a champion or crowned, gotten a belt or anything like that, it would have actually automatically extended my contract by 3 more fights. Okay. So at the time, I saw it as a very good opportunity to renegotiate. That was 5 wins in a row for me. I felt as though 4 of those 5 wins were finishes. So I felt as though it was a good time to, kind of just take a step back, see what my options were, and renegotiate. A big part of that was also them wanting me to rematch Gustavo Lopez immediately. So now at the time, I thought that was kind of doing my career really no good. So I had just gotten a win over Gustavo Lopez. They wanted me to rematch Gustavo Lopez in Mexico 2 months later. So let's say hypothetically I take that fight and I beat Gustavo Lopez again. How did that better my career? How was I better then than I was 2 months ago? It doesn't further me, doesn't let me, I guess, advance in any sort of way. So I felt as though the fight was just not really a smart one. Me and my team and my management just didn't really feel like it needed to happen. I know that rematches do happen, but they usually happen after time. You guys win 1 or 2 in between their fight, whatever it may be. But yeah, I felt as though it was a negotiation period, and like you said, we kind of just had to follow. Things didn't really line up. We didn't agree on a lot of things. We got yada. Long story short, we ended up cutting ties. I got cut from the roster. To just only be brought back 7 months later.
Yeah, so you made your return in emphatic fashion, really. You fought UFC veteran Chris Beal, took him out in the second round. You let your strikes go, really, and you caught him with a southpaw rear head kick, wobbled him, finished up with some heavy leather. How did it feel making the return to Combate?
it felt awesome. It was. I thought it was going to be a lot more nerve wracking, but to be honest, it felt like I was just right at home. My last 5 fights before that were for Combate America, so I think it was the 7th month layoff that kind of was getting to me mentally. I don't think it showed in the cage whatsoever, but mentally I was like, man, am I going to be, is my timing going to be off? Is my range going to be off? What's going to be different? Just because I'm so used to being active. I'm so used to having 3 or 4 fights every year. So that's a fight every 3 months. 7 months is a long time to have without a fight. So it was definitely kind of playing with my head a little bit. But I was able to go in there and, like you said, get a good win against a good UFC vet, high quality, high caliber fighter. So it was nice. It was definitely humbling.
Yeah, and after that, we saw you on Dana White's Contender Series. You were in a pretty exciting fight with, I'm going to butcher this name, Chaden Lealoha, if I said that right. It went to a decision. You ended up not getting the contract, but what was your overall experience there on the show?
Yeah, so the overall experience was great. That was definitely the most nerve wracking fight I've ever been. Fighting in front of a pioneer of the sport in Dana White, basically like the face of MMA and the UFC, the biggest promotion in the world. It was definitely a little nerve wracking, but leading up to that fight, 4 weeks out from that fight, I was dealing with some injuries, and then it was healing up, and then 2 weeks out, I actually re-injured that same thing. So mentally, I just wasn't prepared for that. Mentally and physically, I wasn't really prepared for that fight as much as I normally am. I feel like I got very tired, very gassed in a way which I don't ever normally do. So I think that had a lot to do with how the fight itself played out. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm always battling through adversity and battling through these obstacles, and I find a way to win, and that's what I did. I found a way to win, and here we are right now. So after that, like you said, I didn't get the contract. While I was in a negotiating period with them, because after the Contender Series fights, there's a 30-day negotiation period with your management team and the UFC basically, and basically that's like trying to negotiate any sort of contract. Well, in that 30 days, we got calls from Campbell and the team from Combate Americas, and they offered us a really great contract for 5 fights, and a lot of good things in there that I really liked. In a sense of keeping me very active and stuff like that. So I think I made the right choice.
Okay, now with the new Combate contract, 5 fights, let's say you win this tournament, does that count as 3 fights on the contract, or is the tournament excluded from the 5 fights?
Tournament is excluded from so the 5-fight contract actually starts right after November 11th, the tournament. Yeah, but it's I don't know if I should be saying this or not. I don't think I'll get in trouble, but I have a clause in my contract which I'll be fighting every 90 days. So that's super active. That's a fight guaranteed at the very most every 3 months. So yeah, very happy about that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the new contract. That's pretty awesome. And now you're heading to Cancun, Mexico. Copa Combate is this one-night 8-man tournament. The winner's going to have to fight 3 times, but there's $100,000 on the line. What are your thoughts on a one-night tournament?
It's super. I guess it's a special night. Like this is old school MMA. This is like the first days of the UFC. Those 8-man tournaments. Something that Campbell, I'm sure, is very excited about too. As he's a co-founder of the UFC and was a part of that first 8-man tournament. So I'm sure it's super cool for him. It's a historic event, like you said. It's a one-night 8-man tournament. I think it's super cool how they're doing, just grabbing top talent from all of these different countries, and every country is being represented by one individual. I think that's super cool in itself, and I think that it's very cool that it's all Latin American countries as well. Obviously, besides the U.S., in which I'll be representing the U.S., so I'm very proud of that as well. I was born here. I was born in the United States. Obviously, my nickname, Sexy Mexi, and my parents they're both born in Mexico, so I have Mexican blood running through my veins, and I'm proud of my roots, but I'm also very proud to represent the U.S., seeing as how I currently reside in the U.S. and I was born in the U.S. So very humbling, very excited for this tournament, and I think that it's very, very winnable.
Is this your first time going to Mexico?
No, not my first time going to Mexico. I've been to not the touristy parts like Cancun, but I've been to parts like Monterrey, Mexico, and Guadalajara, Carrillo. Basically, where my family has roots, and like where my mother's side of my family basically still lives. So I visited those areas, which is right in basically central Mexico. Never been to any touristy Mexican spots like Cancun or Puerto Vallarta or anything like that. So it's definitely be fun.
Yeah, I hear Cancun's a good time from what I see on TV and from what I hear. But so what do you think of the rule set? So no elbows will be allowed for the quarterfinals and the semifinals, but they will be allowed for the actual finals itself. Is that cool with you? Are you down with these rules, or would you change some things?
You know what? I would change some things. Honestly, like I said, I'm having a really good camp. I like to, I guess, be well known for a late bloomer. So I think that this tournament is only going to be beneficial to me because I might start off slow, but when the finals come around, I'm going to be super warmed up, super loose, ready to go, and ready to win this tournament. What I honestly, if I would have it anyway, I would have it 3 5-minute fights. Or I'm sorry, 3 rounds of 5-minute, 3 5-minute rounds every single fight. So I would have 15 minutes per fight, and that would be 45 minutes of fighting in one night, which is probably a little unsafe. But I like to think that I'm in better shape than all of these guys, and I think that I would love to take advantage of that. But nonetheless, I'm still excited about this style too. The first round is a 5-minute round, and then I believe the next 2 fights are 3 threes. So. I mean, it is what it is. I know that they're looking out for our safety, but if I could change anything, it'd be longer fights for each one, for sure.
Okay, now, the fighters. Of course, they're going to have a lottery drawing to find out how the brackets will actually pan out. But if you had your way, who would you want to face first?
I don't really have a preference on who I would face first. I do know that I guess I'm putting it together that Ricky Palacios, I know that they're seeding the top 4 guys, and I want to say that Ricky Palacios has to be one of the guys that's being seeded just because he's had 5 fights for Combate Americas, and he's won them all as well. I want to say that he's going to be on my side of the bracket. The only reason I say that is because he's representing the state of Texas. So I can't ever imagine them setting up the tournament to where a possible scenario would be a final between the U.S. and Texas. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that he's gonna be on my side of the bracket, and that's a fight I've been wanting for a long time. Obviously him being another guy that started with the company from the get go. He's won all of his fights in Combate Americas just like I have. I think I have one more fight under their banner, one more win under their banner. Otherwise, he's just, he's right there behind me trailing, basically trying to take the spotlight. So I'm very excited for that fight. If I do get it, I'm expecting to get it either first round or second round for sure, because like I said, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be on my side of the bracket. Very excited for that fight if I get it. Yeah.
Okay. Are you still training with Greg Nelson up in Minnesota?
Yes, sir. I'm training out of Minnesota Martial Arts Academy under Greg Nelson.
Okay, he's a bad dude.
Yeah, tell me about it. That's a MMA legend. He's 50. He's a young guy. He's 52 years old, and he beats my butt for sure. So I can't wait till I'm 52 and hopefully doing the same thing to other guys.
How long have you been linked up with Greg?
So I actually graduated. I graduated college here in 2015, so about 2.5 years ago. And when I graduated school, I moved up from southern Minnesota in Mankato to the Twin Cities. And since then, I've been training with Greg Nelson. So for no more than 2.5 years since I've been at the academy, since I've been training with the academy and under Greg Nelson, like I said, I've won 9 straight fights. I've seen every single aspect of my game just get better and better every single time. And, it's a very high level gym. high level training partners and definitely high level coaching. You know, we have Greg Nelson, Andy Grahn, so many high level coaches, Nat McIntyre, world class kickboxing coaches, boxing coaches, wrestling coaches, jiu-jitsu black belts. You know, we have it all, and I'm very humbled to be a part of such a great team and such a great everything here at Minnesota.
All right, well, let me ask you this: would you say you're favored to win the tournament?
You know what? That's heard it a couple times. I've heard that I'm the favorite to win. I can see myself winning this. I can see myself being in the finals with Marcelo Rojo. Honestly, he's a tough dude. I think that I've done my research on most of these guys, and most of them are really, really tough. Obviously, everyone has a good record. You know, everyone here is top talent from their own respected countries. But I definitely see myself winning the tournament. And, you know, I could sit here and go on about how I think I'm the fastest and the strongest and the most well-rounded. But I guarantee you that if you were interviewing any of these guys, that they would say the exact same thing about themselves. And that's what's going to make good fights. You know, every single person on this roster is going to go for wins. Everyone is thinking that they're going to win the tournament. That's what's going to make good fights. So, but am I the favorite? You know, probably. I am the first seed, so I'm seeded number 1. So, but that doesn't mean anything. You know, I never take opponents lightly. I've had my toughest fights against guys who I thought that I should have just absolutely destroyed. You know, Che Aloha being one of them. He's a young guy, 6-0, and watched a lot of his fight. And I remember thinking, like, man, this guy is very, very one-dimensional. You know, it's going to be easy takedowns, blah, blah, blah. I get in there, and it's the complete opposite. You know, I got to switch up game plans right away. He's super strong. He's tall and lengthy, heavy hands. You know, everything. You can have a plan for everything until you get in that cage, you know. But luckily for me, I have a lot of ring time. Like I've had over 30 fights, 16 amateur, 16 professional. So I'm a very adaptable fighter, and I've seen basically every single style of fighting there is. So these guys aren't going to show me anything that I haven't seen already.
Okay, so in order to win the tournament, you have to win 3 times. Let me get 3 predictions from you.
3 finishes, man. The first round, I know for a fact that a lot of these guys are going to look to secure a takedown and finish on top. It's a 1-round fight. You know, I can't imagine that these guys are having a game plan to stand and bang with someone for 5 minutes and throw up in the air, you know, who's going to win. I know guys are going to be looking for takedowns first round. I'm looking for a submission first round. I'm looking for a quick finish in the second, and I'm looking for an all-out war in the third.
Okay, fair enough. Now, you got any sponsors or people that are helping you out that you want to give a shout-out to?
You know, I just want to thank a couple people. My management team for always delivering when it comes to business, you know, whether it be my contracts or big fights or big paydays, whatever it may be. Iridium Sports, Jason House and Jeremy Luchow. My team, Minnesota Martial Arts Academy, all my coaches, my training partners, Greg Nelson, the whole MMA team, and then just my fiance who puts up with me day in and day out, you know. The struggles.
The struggle is real, my friend. The struggle is real. Awesome. Well, what are your social media outlets, and how can people follow you along on your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow me on Instagram at just my name, John Castaneda _. Otherwise, Sexy Mexi 135 on Twitter. And then honestly, if you were to if you were to type in Sexy Mexi on any of the social medias, I'm sure my name would pop up because it's all linked up with one of my profiles. So, awesome. John Castaneda, yeah, follow me on anywhere.
Awesome. Well, John Castaneda, thank you so much for taking out the time. You are headed to a one-night 8-man tournament in Cancun, Mexico on November 11th. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, brother. I'll see you there.
So there you have it. John Castaneda headed to Copa Combate on November 11th. It's going on in Cancun, Mexico. It's a one-night 8-man tournament. Winner gets $100,000. Go check that out. In the meantime, you can read me over at bloodyelbow.com. You can follow me on Twitter at @Mercado. If you like this interview, you can subscribe to my channel. Right there, you can subscribe to Bloody Elbow's YouTube channel. Right here. Check out these interviews right there. Now go be a good person.